In southern Africa, surrounded by vast savannas, deserts, and wildlife reserves, lies a country that defeated every expectation placed on it. A place that began independence as one of the poorest nations on Earth, yet transformed into one of Africa's safest, richest, and most stable economies. The story of Botswana isn't just about diamonds. It's about leadership, decisions, and discipline that changed the destiny of a nation. This is the real story of how Botswana became a global example. When Botswana gained independence in 1966, it faced realities harsher than most nations. It had only 12 kilometers of paved roads, no proper hospitals, no universities, no major cities, no industrial base, and almost no money. Its GDP per capita was among the lowest in the world. To make things worse, the region around Botswana was unstable and hostile. Apartheid South Africa was to the south. Civil conflicts threatened other borders. In every direction, the environment was politically dangerous. Most experts predicted that Botswana would collapse, but the country began its new chapter with a rare advantage: leadership committed to transparency and long-term planning. Botswana didn't have much, but it had clarity. If we do not govern well, we will not survive. And then fate intervened. In 1967, just 1 year after independence, diamonds were discovered in Orapa. For many countries, this would be a curse. Diamonds have a history of destroying nations, corruption, conflict, dictatorships, and foreign exploitation. Botswana understood the danger. Instead of letting private companies take control or allowing political elites to profit, the government made a decision almost unheard of in resource-rich countries. They formed a 50-50 joint venture with De Beers, the world's most powerful diamond company. Half of the profits would stay in Botswana. Half would go to De Beers. This move kept ownership inside the country. It ensured the government, not foreign powers, controlled the treasure beneath the soil. This single decision created a foundation for everything that followed. Throughout Africa and the developing world, resource money often disappears. Botswana did the opposite. It used diamond revenue to build a country. New schools for a population with almost no literacy. Hospitals and clinics across the entire nation. Roads and infrastructure connecting villages that were once isolated. Clean water systems, electricity networks, public housing, and a government capable of planning decades ahead. Corruption remained surprisingly low. Institutions remained surprisingly strong. And every major development plan was created with a long-term goal in mind. Not election cycles, not short-term gains. By the 1980s and 1990s, Botswana was one of the fastest-growing economies in the world. Diamonds didn't just bring money. They brought stability, education, and opportunity. But then came another challenge, one that threatened to reverse all progress. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Botswana faced one of the worst HIV/AIDS epidemics on the planet. At one point, nearly 1 in 3 adults were infected. For most countries, this would have led to total societal collapse. Botswana responded aggressively. A nationwide anti-HIV program, free treatment for citizens, international partnerships with researchers and pharmaceutical companies, massive education campaigns, and transparent leadership that treated the crisis like the national emergency it was. Botswana became one of the first African countries to provide universal HIV medication. Life expectancy slowly began to rise again. Even in crisis, the government followed one principle. Protecting its people comes before protecting profits. Diamonds don't last forever. Most countries collapse when their main resource declines. Botswana didn't. The government spent decades preparing for that moment. They diversified the economy. High-end tourism in the Okavango Delta. Luxury wildlife lodges attracting wealthy visitors from Europe and the US. Sustainable conservation policies that protected nature while generating revenue. growth in banking, insurance, and financial services, cattle exports and agriculture development, new mining exploration for copper, nickel, and rare minerals. Botswana's diversification didn't replace diamonds, but it reduced dependence on them. The most impressive part? Botswana managed to become one of Africa's most stable democracies while doing it. In a region often shaken by political instability, Botswana became the opposite. Multi-party democracy, peaceful transitions of power, low corruption compared to global averages, a professional civil service, a well-managed central bank, a national development plan that spans decades. Botswana is consistently ranked among the safest nations in Africa, the least corrupt governments on the continent, the most economically stable environments in the developing world, and one of the top-performing economies in sub-Saharan Africa. This stability is not accidental. It's engineered. It's the product of leadership that understood something simple. Diamonds alone cannot save us. Only good governance can. Botswana's rise is not really about diamonds. Diamonds were just the spark. The real secret was the system. Leaders who rejected corruption, institutions that stayed strong, partnerships that kept ownership inside the country, a long-term economic vision, and leaders who understood that wealth must be managed, not consumed. Botswana proves a powerful truth. Natural resources do not determine a country's future. Leadership does. From one of the poorest nations on earth to one of the richest, safest, and most stable economies in Africa, Botswana became a global example of how to turn resources into national prosperity. Diamonds didn't build Botswana. Decisions did.